Good morning, YouTube, and all who inhabit it. Well, I guess it's not really morning, it's almost 5 in the afternoon, but screw it, it's morning somewhere, right? So, Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. If you're like me, you think that this is the pinnacle of wasted potential. A movie with so much hype and so much going for it, and it just didn't deliver. It was just a mess. But why is this? Well, allow me to explain. First, the positives. Probably the thing people were worried about the most when this was first announced was Ben Affleck as Batman. And fortunately, Ben Affleck was absolutely amazing as Batman. I dare call him the definitive on-screen live-action Batman that we've had so far. I like Bale and Keaton and all of them, but he's the most comic accurate Batman we've had to date. And as a fan of the Batman comics, that is amazing. Jeremy Irons is also great as Alfred, and basically all of the Batman scenes in this movie are great. You've probably heard this before from other reviews. What they say, it's true, that it's very visceral, very gritty, and very dark. And it's not just this. You also see this Batman use gadgets, a proper Batmobile, stuff that the fans of the comics have been wanting to see for years, and now we finally get it. If Zack Snyder had just done a solo Batman movie, this would have been amazing, no doubt. Henry Cavill is also still good as Superman, but he doesn't have that much to do, unfortunately. He's good with what he has, but it's not enough. And then there is Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Basically, same deal. She doesn't have much to do, but when she does stuff, she is quite the badass. And now for everything else. I mean, this is a real problem with the movie right here. This thing has some shit pacing. From the beginning of the movie towards the third act, that is nothing but just build up and build up and build up. And build up, that's fine. It builds tension and gets you ready for the big fight towards the end. But when this movie is 2.5 hours long and a good 2/3 of that is just build up, come on, pick up the pace, Also, I praised some of the acting earlier, but holy shit. I mean, I'll give him credit for trying, but that was not Lex Luthor. It was just over-the-top, twitchy, awkward weirdo. That's not Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is confident businessman. He believes that he can challenge a god with just his mind, and I didn't get that from this Lex Luthor. I thought he was just awful. Now, aside from Eisenberg, a lot of what I don't like about this movie goes into spoiler territory, so big, fat spoiler alert from this point on. Okay, in the movie, Batman sends Wonder Woman an email, and in this email is LexCorp files. What's in these files, you may be asking? Well, Justice League cameos. Plain and simple. This is the Dawn of Justice bit of the movie. They shoehorn these dumb cameos into the movie just for the sake of it. Hey, the Flash is in here, Aquaman is in here, Cyborg, and it's so out of place. It makes the movie grind to a halt just to show off Justice League members that have no place in this story. I'll go over Flash's cameo first. I think Ezra Miller is an odd choice for the Flash. He's a good actor, but I don't see him as Barry Allen. And his cameo was alright. It was just Flash running really fast to stop a mugger from robbing a convenience store. Pretty simple stuff. Next up, there's Cyborgs, and Cyborgs was my favorite out of the cameos. It's just a video of Cyborg and his father. His father is played by the guy who created Skynet in Terminator 2. I forget his name, I'm sorry, but that's excellent casting right there. And that clip is basically just the origin of Cyborg, how he's going to die, but his father rebuilds him, and it's painful, and that was a cool video, and because of that, I'm interested in seeing Cyborg. I like Cyborg from the comics, I liked this clip, think it'll be pretty cool, but, the movie isn't, though. And then we get to Aquaman, and Aquaman's was just awkward. It's just Jason Momoa holding a trident at some guy holding a camera, and then he just rockets off out of the water. Okay. I mean, some of the clips were cool, others were meh, but this was an awful way to put these cameos in the movie. You could have just had them in the Battle of Metropolis, the Superman fight with Zod, but no. Fucking email. That's just amazing right there. And next up there is Doomsday. Ugh. If you've seen the second trailer, you know that Doomsday is in this movie, and he's created by Lex Luthor using General Zod's DNA, like a lot of people thought it was going to be. And he looks fucking awful, man. I mean, if you look at Doomsday from the comics, he's awesome. He's covered in spikes and rocks, and it looks cool. Doomsday in this movie, he does not look cool. Like, the closest he gets to those bone spikes is when Wonder Woman chops off his hand and then one big one grows out of his hand. Other than that, it's just like a bunch of little rocks in his skin, and it looks like garbage. Also, Doomsday is created from a mix of Kryptonian and human DNA. I guess the logical hybrid between Kryptonian and human is ungodly abomination of sin. Good to know, DC. Good to know. And then we get to arguably the dumbest bit in the whole movie. Martha! You've probably heard this around. If you're familiar with the comics, Batman and Superman's mothers are both named Martha. And, just interesting little tidbit. I figure if they would use that in the movie, that would just be a one-line thing like, oh, your mom's named Martha? Oh, cool. Let's get back to Justice Leaguing. But no, it's a major plot point. Yeah, the shared name of Superman and Batman's moms is a goddamn plot point. Holy shit. So basically what happens is it's the titular Batman vs. Superman fight, and Batman has Superman pinned to the ground. He is going to kill him, and then Superman's just like, Martha, we have to save Martha. And Batman's like, where'd you hear that name? Where'd you hear that name? And then Lois says it's his mother's name. And then Batman and Superman just like, oh, it's your mom's name? All right, we're pals now. And then they save her, and that's all fine and dandy, but really? That's how you get them to stop fighting, is because their moms are both named Martha? I guess that's why Batman's fine killing a bunch of other criminals in this movie, because their moms aren't named Martha. They're not important. It's the dumbest freaking thing. And now we get to the part of the movie that just made me angry. Okay, so at the end of the movie, Superman and Doomsday are fighting. It's like the death of Superman, and guess what? Doomsday stabs Superman right through the chest, killing him, in quotations. And then there's this big, long funeral sequence, real tearjerker stuff. And then, very last shot of the movie, dirt rises off the coffin, so Superman's alive. This infuriates me because, yeah, I want Superman in the Justice League, but not having him there, like saying, oh, he's done his time, we're not going to use him, this is how he ends, this is how he goes out. That is a ballsy move. That is really cool, but then they don't stick to it because it's just cheap shock value. It's like when a character dies in the comic books these things are based off of. You don't care because they're coming back, and what could have been a really ballsy, awesome move for this movie to do is just for shock value, and it's pointless, and just a waste of time in a movie that's already so fucking long. Oh my god, this movie is 2.5 hours long, and it feels that long. Like, there's apparently still a half an hour on this movie on the cutting room floor that's going to be on the Blu-ray. It doesn't need to be any longer, but apparently it's going to be. And, oh my god, I am not looking forward to that, because it's just my curiosity. I will still probably find a means of seeing it, because I am just that much of a fan of these characters. So, that's Batman vs. Superman, one of the biggest disappointments I've seen in a movie. It's not the worst movie ever. There's a lot of really good elements here. Affleck is great. I think if this was just a solo Batman movie, that would have been amazing. And they're going to make one that's directed by him. I'm really looking forward to that because this version of Batman is amazing. But with the pacing issues and Eisenberg and the stupid cameos that just halt the plot, and then, just like Man of Steel, this big, bloated third act that's just dumb and there for shock value when you know for a fact this character is not going to die, but it's for shock value. That's all it's there for, and it made me furious when they did that. So, is Batman v Superman worth seeing? Probably not. I mean, if you're really a huge fan of these characters, let's be honest here, you've already seen it. For those who haven't seen it, it's not the worst thing ever. There is stuff to enjoy, but there's just too much wrong with it for me to really recommend it. Take care.